Behind the curtain of great are the myths. Final episode: Why we tell myths. As this series comes to a close, it is worth stepping back from the individual themes we have explored and returning to the central question that sits quietly beneath the entire project. Why do human beings tell myths at all? The word myth is often misunderstood in modern conversation. In everyday speech, we tend to use it as a synonym for something false or exaggerated. Yet historically, myths have never functioned merely as fiction. They have served as symbolic narratives through which cultures attempt to understand themselves. Myths organize experience. They transform the complexity of human life into stories that can be remembered, repeated, and shared. From ancient epics to modern cinema, societies have continually produced figures who embody collective hopes, fears, and contradictions. In earlier eras, these figures appeared as gods and heroes. In the 20th century, however, new forms of myth emerged through the machinery of modern media. Film stars, musicians, political leaders, and cultural icons began to occupy a symbolic space once reserved for legendary figures. Great Are the Myths was written with this transformation in mind. The novel takes place in a period when mass media, consumer culture, and global communication were beginning to reshape the way fame operated. Figures like Elvis Presley became more than entertainers. They became symbols that circulated through the collective imagination. Their images appeared everywhere at once, allowing millions of people to project their desires and anxieties onto a single figure. But myth-making does not operate only at the level of celebrity. It also occurs in the private narratives individuals create about their own lives. Memory itself is a myth-making process. When we look back on our past, we rarely remember events exactly as they occurred. Instead, we assemble fragments, moments, emotions, images, into stories that help us make sense of who we are. Birdie's voice in the novel reflects precisely this process. Her story unfolds not as a chronological record, but as a landscape of memory. Certain scenes appear luminous and sharply defined, while others blur into atmosphere and feeling. What matters most are not the precise details of events, but the meaning they acquire over time. In this sense, Birdie is not merely the protagonist of the novel, she is also its interpreter. Throughout the series, we have discussed how she navigates a world filled with powerful cultural myths. The mythology of romance, the mythology of wealth and beauty, the mythology of masculinity, the mythology of the American dream. Each of these narratives shapes the expectations placed upon her and the choices available to her. Yet Birdie also demonstrates that individuals are never entirely passive within these systems. She recognizes the myths surrounding her, sometimes participates in them, and sometimes quietly resists them. Her life unfolds at the intersection of inherited stories and personal imagination. This tension between structure and freedom is one of the novel's central concerns. The characters inhabit a world that promises extraordinary possibility. Postwar America, with its expanding horizons, its glamorous cities, its culture of ambition and reinvention. At the same time, they encounter the invisible systems that organize modern life: economic structures, social hierarchies, gender expectations, and the complex machinery of fame. Myths often emerge precisely at these moments of tension. When societies experience rapid change, storytelling becomes a way of interpreting what is happening. Narratives help people locate themselves within shifting cultural landscapes. They transform uncertainty into meaning. In Great Are the Myths. The emergence of modern celebrity provides one such moment of transformation. The boy's rise from an ordinary teenager to a global cultural figure illustrates how quickly an individual can become a symbol. Yet the novel also reminds us that behind every myth lies a human life with its own complexities and vulnerabilities. Birdie's relationship with the boy reflects this duality. She witnesses both the person he is and the myth he is becoming. Her perspective allows the novel to hold these two realities simultaneously: the intimate world of friendship, memory, and imagination, and the vast cultural stage on which modern myths are produced. If the series has attempted to reveal anything, it is that myths continue to shape contemporary life in ways that are often subtle but profound. We live among stories that influence how we understand love, success, beauty, freedom, and identity. These narratives are not static. They evolve with each generation, absorbing new experiences and reinterpretations. Literature provides one of the most powerful spaces in which this process can be examined. A novel allows us to step inside a myth and observe how it operates from within. By following Birdie's journey, from adolescence to adulthood, from Memphis to Hollywood to New York, we witness how cultural narratives intersect with personal life. At the same time, the novels suggest that myths are never entirely external. They live within us as well. Each person carries a private mythology composed of memories, relationships, and imagined possibilities. These internal stories help us navigate the world, offering both inspiration and illusion. Perhaps that is why myths endure. They allow us to articulate experiences that are otherwise difficult to describe: longing, transformation, loss, hope. Even in an age dominated by technology and information, the human desire for symbolic storytelling remains unchanged. As Great Are the Myths comes to an end, Birdie's life continues beyond the boundaries of the narrative. She becomes a mother, an artist, and a witness to the unfolding decades ahead. The myths surrounding her may shift, but the process of interpretation remains. And that may be the final insight of the story. Myths are not fixed monuments from the past. They are living structures, constantly reshaped by memory, imagination, and time. We tell myths not because they are perfectly true, but because they help us understand the truths that are hardest to express.